Okay, hello again. Right, so part two of this video for the Kmise Baritone Ukulele. So this part is the restring from the gCEA that it's come with to the standard DGBE. Now, before I start this video, I realized from my first video, I'd forgotten to mention something very important. What did I pay for this? Well, it was on eBay. Now, it was supplied by a supplier that I have used before, and I've bought Kmise ukuleles from them before, and I've never had any problems with them. So I know that they are a good supplier. So it was advertised at $69.98 US. Okay, with the option to make offer, which I did. And I put in an offer of $60, fully expecting it to be rejected, as they normally do. But no, they accepted it. So I paid for this 60 US dollars plus $2.99 for postage. Wow. From China to Thailand. Obviously, if you order from China, if you're in the US or the UK or anywhere in the West, you might well end up paying a lot more in shipping. But I know that Kmise deliver from all over the world, so sorry, it's going past with a rather noisy car. So yeah, I mean you can get these anywhere. So I paid 60 US dollars plus a bit of change, $2.99 for postage, which for those of you in Poundland is a shade under £50 total, including shipping. Absolutely amazing deal. Really, really good. Really pleased with that. Okay, so on to the restringing. Excuse me. Before I start, I want to just show you the strings at the bottom of the bridge there. You can see how that's all nice and tidy. Everything is tucked underneath the other strings. So I'm going to be doing that as well. It may not end up quite as tidy as that, but that's what you're aiming for, because the last thing you want is the end of the string sticking out. You catch your arm on it or your clothing and can cause all sorts of problems. Also, you don't want to cut it too short because they might just ping out, and then you've got another problem. Because once the strings are cut down, it's very, very hard to restring them again if they come out because you don't have enough string to play with. Okay, so first things first, remove the strings. Now, um, these string winders are a really good idea just for speed, so you can take the strings off quicker, especially with the nylon strings, because they stretch and they wind forever. If you look around the tuning page, you can see there's quite a lot of winding on there. To do that by hand, I'd have to turn the tuners about 400 million times, so it's just quicker with these. Okay, so but it's important to make sure that you turn it the right way. So I personally, when I remove strings, I remove the outer two first and then the inner two. And when I restring it, I do the reverse. So I put the inner strings on first and then the outer strings. Now, the reason I do that, some people may argue it's not necessary, but I think if you take off strings from one side and then go across to the other side, so from one side to the other, I think you're putting unnecessary strain on the neck. You might, if you're really unlucky, it might bend the neck. It's not likely to break it, but my personal preference is to remove the outer strings and then the inner strings, and then when I'm putting the strings back on, inner strings first and then the outer strings, just to even out the tension on the neck. Because all four strings up to tension, I'm not sure of the exact figures, but there's a lot of tension on there, a lot. So, if you go from one side across to the other, you could potentially cause stress issues with the neck. So That's the way I prefer to do it. Okay, so right, so with the string winder, just literally wind it all the way down until you can see that the string is loose. You see how long this would have taken by hand? Okay, a little bit more. So, you know, that would take ages to just unwind it by hand. So these little string winders, which cost a couple of dollars or a couple of pounds, are well worth the money. Very, very cheap, very easy to use. There you go, that's the first string off. Okay, so same with all 4 strings. Windy, 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 windy. I mean, you can see how fast that is. And as I said, to do that by hand, it would just take ages. So it's so saves so much time. Now, when it comes to putting the new strings on, I won't be using this string winder, and I will show you why when it comes to the restringing. Because I know that many people are a little bit scared of restringing an instrument, because obviously it does have to be done right, and if you don't do it right, you can have all sorts of problems. So that's the purpose of this video, is to help some of you who are a little bit nervous about doing a string change, but want to do it yourself. Because obviously, if you are nervous about it, you take it to a luthier or a music shop and get them to do it for you for, you know, obviously a nominal fee. They wouldn't charge you very much, but it would just save you so much time, effort, money, and everything else to be able to do it yourself. So, okay, that's all the top parts of the strings off. Now it's simply a matter of untying the bottom end of each string. And because these are all kind of looped underneath each other, you would see which one would be each. Oh, there's the saddle just fallen out. We'll come to that later. So you would see which string you're going to take off first. Okay, now I'm just going to actually come back to this saddle. The fact that it's just fallen out tells me something quite important. So I'm just going to put it back in the slot. I don't know if you can see that, but that's not a very tight fit. Okay, so that's not really any good. You want it to be a nice tight fit. You certainly don't want it falling out. That is a little bit on the loose side. Now you might think, why is that a problem? Because when all the strings are up to tension, it's not going to move. Yes, you're right. But when the strings are up to tension, it's going to be pulling that this way. Okay? And if it's quite loose, which that one is, potentially you could break this bridge over time. You know, with the constant tension pulling that way, it's already loose. You could potentially split that bridge. So that's a shame, because I did want to try that with the new strings. But what I do have here, I have a couple of spare, actually used saddles from previous ukuleles. Now these are plastic, but I might try one of them initially. See, that's quite loose as well. When I string it up, just to check for the intonation, because that's another thing. I did check the intonation of this off camera after the last video, and it wasn't far out, but it wasn't perfect. So this compensated saddle wasn't really doing the job that it was designed for. The whole point of the compensation bevels on this is to get the intonation as close to perfect as possible. Now, as I said, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't far out, but it could have been better. So it's a bit of a shame that that doesn't fit too well, but I am going to use this one anyway, just to string it up for now, to check the intonation. Because as I said before, this is a right-handed saddle. The intonation might be just completely out, and I've got to make a new saddle anyway. But I've got these, which are real bone blanks. Now, the good thing is this is already exactly the right length for ukulele. So what I'll need to do eventually is cut a new saddle out of that. Now that's quite a difficult job actually, because it's it needs to be very precise. So I will need to cut the strip off of that and shape it to the right height and thickness, and also round off the corners. I'm not going to do that on camera because that's a really long job. I know some of you probably would like to see that, but it's a long, difficult, tricky job, and there will be lots of swearing. So it's not going to be recorded. If I have to do that, it will be off camera, and then I'll show you the result. But for the time being, I'm going to use the original saddle, albeit a bit loose fitting, and the intonation will probably be no good. But I just want to string it up and try it for now. I'm not too worried about the intonation right now. Okay, so back to removing the strings. So as I said, you would look for which would be the easiest one to take off first, which is the one that's got most of them gathered underneath. Because if you try to remove this one, that's stuck under there. So you'd start this end, okay? So it's quite a simple procedure, really. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see this, but you just kind of loosen the loop and unwind it. It's quite tricky. Or you can just pull the whole loop out. So unwind it. And pull it out. So I'm going to set these strings aside. As I said, they're obviously brand new strings, so they'll be handy to keep as spares. If I have any issues with any of my tenor ukuleles, I wouldn't recommend trying to use these on concert or soprano, because they are designed for the bigger ukulele. The tensions of them will be slightly different. There's not really much in it, but you know, if you're going to restring a soprano or a concert, use soprano or concert strings. But as I said, these will be perfectly suitable for a tenor. Okay, so that's the strings off. Okay, I'm just going to check the bridge to make sure everything's okay. There's no damage to the bridge. What I have noticed is you really won't be able to see it, but there is a very slight gap under the bridge there. Now, if there was a big gap all the way along, that would be a problem. That would be remove the bridge and reset it, which does sound like a daunting job. And I have to be honest, the first time I did it, it was. But I've done it quite a few times, and it's not for the amateur. It really isn't. It's a very precise job that's got to be done literally perfectly. But I've done it quite a few times. I'm quite confident to do those. Now, also, I've noticed there seems to be some what look like mother of pearl inlaid dots in the bridge itself, which would suggest there might be screws in there, which is no bad thing. It's obviously more secure. Can't get my hand in the sound hole. Yes, there are screws in there, which obviously help. Oh my god, helps to keep the bridge solid against the body. Obviously, it will be glued as well, but these screws, which are nicely covered up with these mother of pearl inlay dots, just helps to make sure it stays secure. So I'm not concerned about that tiny little gap under there. As I said, if it was bigger and if it was all the way along, I would take that bridge off and reset it, but there's no need. Okay, so before I start to restring it, now that I've got the strings off, I can get good access to the bridge and to the fretboard. Now, it is a brand new instrument, so there shouldn't be any issues with it, but this is a good practice to get into. Always, when you have the chance, always oil your fretboard and your bridge. Okay, now this particular fretboard oil called Dunlop 65 Ultimate Lemon Oil is suitable for most fretboards. Certainly for the normal standard rosewood, this is fine. And it is okay for most fretboards, but not all. Now, I have to be honest, I'm not 100% sure about its suitability for walnut. So that being the case, I'm not going to use that on this occasion. I'm going to use boiled linseed oil. Okay. Now this stuff has many uses, and musical instruments is one of them. I know many luthiers use this, and I've started using it on my fretboards more than this oil, because this is very good stuff. It's quite expensive as well, but it is very good stuff. But as I said, it's not suitable for all woods, whereas this is. So all you need to do is, let's just angle that down a bit. Start with the bridge. You have to be careful, obviously, not to get this stuff all over the place. Not that it'll do any harm, it's just messy. Okay, so you don't need a lot. Just get the cloth and tip a little bit onto the cloth, and then just carefully go over the bridge. Try to get into the grooves as best you can, obviously. Okay, and I'm trying to be careful not to get too much of it onto the body. As I said, it certainly won't do it any harm, but it's just a bit messy. Okay, so all around, and then with a clean cloth, just wipe up the excess off of the body first. Try to make sure you get as much of that off as possible, just for aesthetics more than anything else, really. Now, this boiled linseed oil is the same as the lemon oil. Will help to protect your wood. I mean, the boiled linseed oil is really good, and it will keep the wood, keep some moisture in it. So you don't want your bridge and your fretboard to dry out, because they'll crack. They could warp, and you get all sorts of issues. So you must keep them oiled. You don't have to do it, every day or every week. But if you do live in a particularly dry climate, you would need to do this quite regularly. I would suggest probably once a month, but certainly at least every time you do a string change, or you take the strings off for any reason. When you get the opportunity, you've got access to it, do it. Okay, and it's exactly the same thing with the fretboard. Okay, so just a little bit on the cloth, and just wipe it in. And the good thing about this boiled linseed oil is that's literally just one dab on the cloth, and I can do the whole fretboard with that easily. Okay, and then just wipe off the excess with your clean cloth. I've got a soft lint-free cloth here. Okay, you sometimes get the little threads that catch on the end of the frets. Just pull those off with your fingers. Now, you're not really going to be able to see the difference, but you might be able to. Just puts a lovely sheen on there, and as I said, protects the wood. And if you do that as regularly as you need to, they will last a lifetime, and they'll be in good condition. Because the wood that they use for fretboards is quite a soft wood. It's a hard wood, but it's a soft, hard wood. So over time, it will wear out, particularly if you keep your fingernails long. Don't do it. Okay, you will wear grooves into your fretboard over time. I'm sure most of you keep your fretting fingernails short. Yes, do it every time. You're plucking fingernails, they can be as long as you like. Okay, so that's that done. Now, before I put the strings on, I want to adjust this neck. Actually, now that the strings are off, the bow has gone away a little bit, but I know that it will come back, obviously, when I put the new strings on. So I'm going to use the supplied Allen key to just adjust that neck a little bit. Okay, so now some truss rods go in the opposite directions to others. Okay, so you need to make sure you do it the right way, and you don't need a lot of adjustment because this truss rod is in from the sound hole up. It's quite simple, lefty loosey, righty tighty. So if you turn it from right to left, you're loosing it, lefty loosey. So that effectively takes the tension off of the neck, which allows it to drop back or straighten out. So if you go from left to right, righty-tighty, you're tightening it, which means you're pulling on it, so it will pull up. Okay? Now some instruments have the truss rod adjuster at this end. You'll see a plate over here, and you adjust it from this end. Usually, but not always, you will turn that truss rod the opposite way as you would for this one. That's not always the case, but sometimes it is. So with the Allen key, it's quite hard to show you what I'm doing here, but I'm just going to turn it a quarter of a turn. Ooh, that's tight. It's always a bit scary the first time you. Oh, I'm not so sure about that. Oh, it's very tight. That's a bit of a concern. It shouldn't be that tight, and I don't want to force it and risk breaking something. So I'm going to leave that for now. I'll attend to that another time. That's not a huge issue right now. I don't want to break it. Right. So the restring. Now I'm going to do something which some of you may feel is a little bit unorthodox, but it's perfectly fine. Trust me. Okay. So obviously, if you're going to restring your baritone, you will buy baritone ukulele strings and use those, and that's what most of us will do. I don't have any, and I can't wait to order any. Okay, so what I'm going to use is these D'Addario classical guitar strings. Okay, so obviously this is a set of 6 strings for a classical guitar. Now, some of the recommendations say that you should use strings. You can use classical guitar strings on a baritone ukulele, and you should use strings 2 to 5, 2, 3, 4, and 5, because obviously 4 and 5 are the wound strings, and on a baritone you want 2 wound strings and 2 ordinary nylon strings. Now, I'm not going to use strings 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to use strings 1, 2, 4, and 5. Because they are just the right thickness, the right gauge. And I'm 99% certain that the tension will be just right. So this is a brand new set of D'Addario classical guitar strings. For any of you that have the interest, it's the EJ46, silver plated, wound, and clear nylon. So here goes. Now there's I've strung so many instruments I've lost count. So I've experimented with so many different ways of doing things, and I've also done extra research for this, and I know that it's absolutely fine. Okay, so they come numbered just to make your life a little bit easier. Actually, they have the number on one side and the note, the string that it relates to on the other. Okay, so strings 1, 1 and 2, and strings, where are they? Strings 4, 4. Yeah, they're all stuck together. That's just typical, isn't it? Okay. Oh my goodness, what's happening there? Okay, I don't know what's happening there. Anyway. Okay, 4 and where's number 5? Where is number 5? Ah, it's in there. They've wound them all together. That's not very useful. Obviously thought they were, I was going to use these on a classical guitar. They don't know me, do they? Okay, so that's all the strings. Let's just double check. Strings 4 and 5, and that's strings 1 and 2. Okay, so I recommend when you're actually putting the strings on initially to start with the biggest string first, so effectively the bass string, and then work towards the smaller ones. The reason for that is on ukuleles particularly, it doesn't matter so much with guitars which have what do you call them, bridge pins to hold the strings in, but when you're doing this, and when you saw at the beginning of the video with the strings looped underneath each other, it's easier to do it from big to small, if that makes sense. Okay, so right, string, it's numbered string number 5 for the guitar, but it's obviously string number 4 for the ukulele. So this is how you start. Okay, so just make sure I get the right one first. Hold on, where's my saddle gone? Okay, that's the saddle. Okay, so with this end of the string, poke it through the hole. Okay, I'm going to try and bring you a bit closer so that you can see this a bit better. I'm sorry, my camera is not very good. So what you want to do, poke it through the hole, and then take the end and you come back around, okay, and then you loop over and then under, over and then under, so you've then got 2 loops around. Okay, there's the end. Now you want to pull this end so that you have about ½ an inch of string. Wait a minute, what have I done wrong there? I'm so stupid, I've done it the wrong way around. Okay. Sorry, my mistake. Okay, so under, and then under, over, sorry. Okay, so you have the double loop, and then pull this end so that you get about ½ an inch of string sticking out. Okay, pull it tight. Oops. So you've got about ½ an inch of string sticking out there, and you need to pull it quite tight. Don't pull too hard because you might actually damage a string, but just so that it's tight and it's not going to come out. Okay? So I'll do the other end after. I'm just going to show you this 4 times first before we go to the other end. Okay? So same again. End of the string, put through the hole. Now, before you start this one, you want to fold this one back so that it goes underneath this second string. Okay? So bring that up and make sure that end stays. It's quite a fiddly job, I have to be honest. But there you go. So that's, I don't know if you can see that, but that's tucked underneath there. Okay? So then you go, loop it round, under. I know you can't see this very well. Over and under. Okay, so you've got the double loop, and then pull it tight. Okay, I'm quite left enough there, but it should be okay. Okay, next string, number 2. number 2. Same again, through the hole, loop it back round. Hold on. Okay. Sorry, going the wrong way. Okay. So loop it back around and then over, under, over, under. Make sure you tuck the end of the last string underneath it first. Okay, pull it tight. Well, that one's not sticking underneath there. Typical on a live video, never mind. Okay, that's actually not ended up tucked underneath there, but that's okay. I'll get away with that. I've left too much on that one. First time I've done this on video, so obviously I'm all thumbs. Okay, last one. Okay, so through the hole, back around, then loop it, so around, then over, under, over, under. So you have 2 loops, okay? Tuck the last string underneath, pull it tight. Okay. So that's not my tidiest ever job, but that's what it looks like, okay? So you have each one with a double loop. It's again, as I said, that's not the tidiest job I've ever done. But you get the general idea. So just to recap, so the string goes through the hole, okay, then you take the end and bring it back and around the string, then over, under, pull it tight, okay? And make sure you leave enough of it to tuck underneath the next string. I've actually made quite a mess of that, but I can live with it. Hopefully you'll do a better job. Okay, so that's one important part, obviously how to actually mount the string first of all. Now, the headstock end is equally as important. Just trying to get the camera angle right to show this properly. It's not going too well. Just bear with me a minute. That's a bit better. Okay, now, again, I would suggest start with the thicker string, okay? So effectively number 4. Now, what some people do is they stick it through the hole and they, leave a couple of inches and then wrap it around and wind it. No, don't bother with all that. Right, what you need to do is pull the string taut, okay, up to the tuning peg. Okay, now this is slightly different with nylon strings as it is to steel strings. Obviously, we're not doing steel strings, but if we were doing a guitar with steel strings, you would wrap this round the peg several times. Now, obviously, with nylon strings that stretch out a lot more, you don't need to do that. So you pull it taut up to the tuning peg, then wrap it around once, twice. That's it. Keep it taut, and then keep it taut with one finger, and then, oh dear. Then the other finger, poke it through the hole, and pull it tight. Okay, now if you can, I would suggest wrap it round and push it through the hole again. With the thicker strings, it's not always possible. I'm just going to try it, and yeah, it'll go through. So that makes it extra secure. Pull it tight again. Okay, leave it. Now, it is still a bit loose, but that's not going to take very much winding to get that up to tension because it's already taut. Okay, so I'll show you the same process again with the next string. Okay, so again, pull it taut up to the tuning peg, hold it taut, wrap it around once, twice, keep it in place with your finger, and then poke the end through the hole, pull it tight, wrap it around again, and back through the hole, same way, and pull it taut. Okay, that one's in. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so with the other side, obviously, oh, I did forget to mention, you should always come up the inside of the peg and wrap around the outside, okay? You come up to the peg from the inside and wrap around the outside. So when you do this next string, actually going to do number 1 string first because it's on this one. So I will come up the inside of the peg and wrap around the outside like that, okay? So exactly the same process. Pull the string taut, and wrap it around the post once. Wait, it slipped off. Hold it taut with your finger once, and twice, and then holding it still with one finger, poke it through the hole. Ooh, come on. Poke it through the hole, pull it taut, wrap around again, and back through the hole again. As I said, that's just going to make it extra secure, especially with the nylon strings. They're quite slippery, so it can be really fiddly to keep them in place. Once you've done that, it ain't going nowhere. Okay. Now I'm not going to cut the ends of these strings off yet, even when I go to tune it, because just in case there's any issues, you know, if a string breaks or slips out at the bottom end at the bridge, and I've got to redo it. Don't ever cut the strings off until everything's done and you're happy with it. Okay, so string number 2 now. Up to the peg, hold it taut, down with one finger, around once and twice, then hold it in place with one finger, through the hole. It is still quite fiddly, but much easier way to do it. Okay, through the hole, wrap it around again, and then back through the hole again. It's important that whatever part of this you're doing, you just hold the string taut with one finger so that it doesn't all slip out and away from you. Okay, and there we go. Right, so that's all the strings in place. Obviously they're not up to tension, but they're a lot closer than they normally would have been. I'm now just going to put the saddle back in, the original saddle. Being a compensated one, I have to make sure I get it the right way round. So the bevel, the way you can see that, I don't know. You see it slants to one side. So what you want is that slant to be at the back, so that the string from here comes up that slant, and then when you get to the peak of that slant, that's when the string then goes across and up the neck. So that should be the last point of contact of the string once it comes off the bridge. If you've got it the other way, it doesn't work. Okay, so you have this slant going back down this way. As I said, most ukuleles don't have this compensated saddle anyway, so that's not an issue. You can put those uniform straight ones in either way around, it doesn't matter. Okay, so that's the saddle back in. As I said, I'm not particularly happy with it being so loose, but if it actually intonates okay, I might leave it, but I don't know. So it's not ended up too tidy at that end, but you get the idea. If you do it properly, take your time, and you're not filming yourself doing it, that will obviously end up a lot tidier. And I will, once I've got this all tightened up, I will trim off the excess here and the excess here, but not yet. So just for now, I'm just going to loop these strings around just to keep them out of my way while I'm tuning up. That's the general idea. Okay, so just vaguely sort of loop them up for now to keep them out of my way. It's more actually to keep them out of the way of each other and the tuners, because when they're winding around, you've got this much excess still hanging off. They can sometimes get a bit tangled up. So it's just to keep them out of the way. As I said, I will trim them off later when I'm happy that everything is in place, tuned, settled, but never ever cut off the excess straight away. Because as I said, if you have any issues with strings breaking or slipping out and you've got to do it again and you've already cut the excess off, trust me, you've just made your job and your life a whole lot harder. Obviously, because these are classical guitar strings, they're a lot longer than the normal strings would be. So I've got lots of excess there to play with should I need to. Okay, so I've just looped those up. Right, now I'm going to get her tuned up. Just bring that down a bit. Now, the original tuner that came in this package, I'm not too happy with, so I'm going to use one of my other tuners. It's still a cheap one, but it just seems to register the tuning much better. Okay, so now this is where I said about tightening the strings back up. I will do the inner two strings first. Okay, so I'm going to start with the G string, which is string number 3. I'll just change my tuner to guitar, still on step on ukulele. Okay, here we go. I can already hear the potential of how good this is going to sound. Obviously, I've used quality strings. I was going to use a cheaper set to try it out, but I thought, hey ho, might as well just go straight in with the good strings. And obviously they're brand new strings, so they're going to take quite a while to settle in, but hopefully we'll be able to get to hear what it sounds like. Oh, it takes ages. We're up to E. Oh, G flat. Okay, that's more or less a G. Obviously it will flatten out again. Going the right way? No. Okay, number 2 string, B. How long have I been on? Oh, nearly 45 minutes already. You must be bored stiff of me by now. Okay. Getting close to B. Okay, that's close enough for now. So number 1 string, E. Life is hard, but not when you're playing ukulele. All your troubles just go away, don't they? Whether it's soprano, concert, tenor, baritone, whatever it is, if you enjoy playing it, when you play it, you enjoy it. And nothing else matters. All your troubles just melt away. I can already see that I've got too much wrap around on the tuning peg, so I probably will redo this later, pull them a bit tighter, but it's okay for now, just to see what it's going to sound like. Should have done this bit off camera really, but never mind. Nearly there. When you're watching this video, you can fast forward this bit if you like. Not much to see right now until it gets up to tune. Okay. String number 4, D. My arms are aching now. Right, we're getting close now. Getting there. Sounds good. Right, we're almost up to pitch. Before I actually play anything on it, I want to just quickly check the intonation with this right-handed bone compensated saddle in there. It might be completely out, and if it is, like I said, I will make a new one. But it's fine for now, just to check everything. D, G. There's really good action on this as well, which I didn't mention in the first video, but I like quite a low action myself, and this is good. So I just want to check, before I go any further, do I need to make any adjustments to the nut? I might need to deepen the slots slightly. I mean, the fine settings and setup of this I will do off camera, because there's a lot to it and it takes ages. But I think generally that's not too bad. I can see that neck bow has come back, so I will have. There's a lot of adjustments to make to this. I'm going to have to modify the nut slightly, just deepen the slots, especially on the number 4 string, the D bass string. I can see that that's going to have to be lowered a bit. That's not a big problem. But the action for me looks really good. Let's just get the final tune. Yeah, these strings are going to take a while to settle. But I'm just going to quickly check the intonation right now. Okay, the D's not bad. Yeah. Okay, that's flat. Right, the B's a bit flat. That was to be expected. Yeah, the ET. So the bass strings, the wound strings, they're okay. The internet just fine. But the treble strings, the B and the E, when fretted, they're quite flat. Now that means the strings are too long. So that's a bit unusual. I might just try off camera. Might just try one of my normal straight saddles. It's only a plastic one, but just to try it for intonation. If that works, I will then make a new one from bone. Anyway, enough banter. You know what time it is now, don't you? Time to hear this baby fire up. Just double check the tuning again. D, G, B. So, as I'm sure some of you are aware, the obviously different tuning, more like a guitar, obviously, than the standard ukulele tuning. So if you want to play something the same as you do on a ukulele, you would have to change the chords. But you can still use the same chord shapes. It would just be in a different key. So where this is a C on your ukulele, your soprano, concert, tenor, that is G. I can't remember. Anyway, so you can still use the same chord shape. So effectively, I'm playing a C, A minor, F, G7. Wow, that sounds amazing. Just doing that. I'm going to just finally tune it up, and I'm going to bash out some strumming on it. Right, that will do for now. So here we go. The first proper play of this for me. I'm just going to do a simple chord progression with just a normal strumming, just to see what it sounds like. Are you ready? Here we go. Oh, that sounds good. I don't know how well it comes across on there. I know my microphone's not good, but that sounds nice. It's got a really deep, rich tone. Obviously, the bigger body, you get much better resonance. We've got solid spruce on the top, which is one of the best resonant woods for musical instruments. You know, as I said, for $60 or £50 sterling, I think this is amazing. Okay, so I'll just try a little bit of finger picking as well, which is something I really like to do, especially on my tenor ukulele, which I've got strung with a low G. I love this slow finger picking sound. So here we go. Oi, sorry, starting it. Absolutely amazing. I am over the moon with this. As I said, I've got a lot of tweaking to do to it, a few fairly minor adjustments here and there. I'm going to tidy this end up, obviously tidy that end up. I'm going to do a little bit of work on the nuts and on the saddle as well. But other than that, I mean, it's minor tweaks, for me at least. I mean, I've done these jobs so many times that I find them quite easy. and quite satisfying to do. So it doesn't need a lot. Yeah, I've got to adjust the neck again. For me, the saddle, the neck bow, and the nut, they all need a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of work. I'm probably going to make a new saddle for it. Because I've got these straight ones, but they're plastic, and I want to stick with the bone. Obviously, you get a much better sound from the bone. So there it is, the Kmise Baritone Ukulele, restrung in the standard DGBE and left-handed, and it sounds awesome. As I said, my microphone on my laptop is not very good, so you can't get a true um, feel of how this sounds, but trust me, it is awesome. I am so pleased. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you can, learn a few tips and tricks along the way. I'm sorry that my camera also isn't very good. Maybe you couldn't see what I was doing very well, but I hope, as I said, that you've got something from this, not just enjoying this new instrument, but a few tips and tricks. And if you have any comments, questions, or anything else, please feel free to add those. There will be other videos coming along soon, but this is the one that I've been looking forward to, and I know that some of you have as well. So thank you very much for your time. That's been almost an hour, a lot longer than I was expecting this to take, but there it is. I've experienced one or two little niggles along the way that held me up. As I said, the first time doing this on camera, so I was bound to foul a few things up. That's always the way. But hopefully you got the general idea. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your time. Peace out. See you soon.